Hi, this is Cheryl Gallant, your Conservative federal member of Parliament for the resilient riding of Renfrew-Nipissing-Pembroke. I'm coming to you live from Ottawa with a special report. Parliament has reconvened today to debate and vote on a massive spending bill, supposedly to address the coronavirus pandemic. Last week, when the government announced the economic measures, it seemed focused on helping people affected by the pandemic. What we have since learned is that the Liberals are seeking much, much more than funding to fight COVID-19. Reports in the media last night revealed Trudeau wanted to effectively seize Parliament's power to tax and spend for the next 2 years. Trudeau's attempt to use this health crisis to seize extraordinary power in a minority parliament is deeply troubling. While Canadians were focused on the health and well-being of their families, Trudeau was secretly plotting to suspend democracy. The measures being taken to slow the virus will slow the economy. And it's important that the federal government provides support to those who are struggling. That is why it is so infuriating Trudeau would use this crisis as a power grab. People are worried about their health, about their jobs, and the only thing Trudeau is worrying about is how he can avoid Parliament. Suspending Parliament's power to tax and spend is a staggering breach of the fundamental nature of our democracy. It should concern Canadians that the Liberals would even entertain such a blatant, obvious authoritarianism move. Since the news leaked late last night, I've received more calls and emails about this Liberal power grab than any other issue this year. And it's really heartening to know that so many Canadians immediately saw this for what it was, a blatant power grab and an attack on our democracy. I've got a few emails that I've got permission to share with you. Matthew from Pembroke writes, "Dear Mrs. Gallant, I implore you and your fellow MPs to vote against the executive measures Trudeau is wanting to impose through Bill Morneau. I know that the country needs to help its medical community and its citizens who are at home from work to protect us all as a whole. I don't think any of the parties are against the spending on that front. I believe giving this current government that kind of power until December 2021 is the first step to the end of the country. We saw what Trudeau Liberals did with a majority government. What will they do with limitless control for over a year and a half? Please vote no to the executive order. There must be a better alternative. New leadership, perhaps?" Thank you, Matthew from Pembroke. Stu from Arnprior writes, "I'm writing to you with my displeasure of the Liberal Party wanting new sweeping powers of taxation of the above bill. I cannot believe the incompetence of this government to date, and then allow the finance minister to spend our money on a ridiculous tax that will cripple our economy even more. Please put a stop to this if you can." Well, Stuart, we're going to do our best that we can to stop this. Grant from Pembroke writes, "Please fight against what Trudeau wants to do. Raise taxes, unlimited spending without parliamentary consultation. This is dictatorship. Wrong, wrong." Heather from Arnprior writes, "Not only now do we have to fear the pandemic, but now fear of the sweeping powers to a few who will rule our land for the next 21 months. Thank you, Heather from Arnprior. Kevin from Renfrew writes, "Mrs. Gallant, please fight this on behalf of your constituents." Thank you, Kevin from Renfrew. Kristen from Arnprior writes, "Ms. Gallant, Our business, run by myself and my husband, currently employs 2 additional individuals. During this time of the COVID-19 crisis, we're barely making ends meet and may be forced to close and lay off all our employees. The proposed wage subsidy of 10% will not help our situation. In order for businesses to remain open and continue employing their staff, the wage subsidy will need to be a minimum of 75%. Thank you, Kristen from Arnprior. C&B from Renfrew County write, we are horrified at the thought of giving Trudeau the power to increase taxes without Parliament representation and debate. Thank you, C&B from Renfrew County. Sally from Arnprior writes, hi, Cheryl. I understand the Prime Minister Trudeau wants to propose tax changes today to recover the money the government has promised to help Canadians with at this time. We already have been overtaxed, paying for Trudeau's desire to make a name for himself with foreign nations. Now he wants to make us slaves, helping citizens in a crisis, but making them indebted to it. After years of giving our money and resources away, is there nothing left for Canada? Trudeau should instead turn his entire focus to Canada. He is the Prime Minister of Canada, and Canadians need help now and in the future. Thank you, Sally from Arnprior. And she also wanted people to know, Prime Minister to know, that it's not a good time to introduce future tax increases anyway, and certainly not the measures that don't require parliamentary approval. And she's very concerned that there is no one to stop them because there is no accountability. She says that this is not the definition of democracy, but it will become a dictatorship. So she's asked all parliamentarians to do whatever we can to stop this process and ensure Canadians are taken care of at this time. We're doing our best, Sally. Carl from Wilno writes, thank heaven we are travelers and know how to deal with this crisis. We booked our flight to Ottawa through Air Canada, who just had 50,000 employees laid off, and successfully arrived back here. The airline companies should be the last to be punished by this emergency. Trudeau seems to be oblivious of the reality here that he has reacted with his late attempt to deal with this. He should have put something into place 2 months ago instead of knee-jerk reactions, which has created massive chaos and fear across this country. Every single Canadian we have talked to on our travels have such a low opinion of this Prime Minister that I cannot print the words here. Sad days indeed. Thank you, Carl from Wilno. Jill from Arnprior writes, hello, Cheryl. As one of your constituents, I'm grateful that this area is still conservative. Last I checked, we're still a democracy. Please stand up against the latest power grab by a minority government to take total control over spending until December 2021. That's unprecedented and seems opportunistic. Please use your power to join with others and stop it immediately before it's too late. Thank you, Jill from Arnprior. AP from Combermere writes, is there any financial help for seniors? My wife is bedridden, and the pension checks are not going as far as they should. I sure could use some financial help, hoping there's some sort of help. JC from Petawawa. As per our conversation the other day, this loan business is theft as far as I'm concerned. Taking advantage and adding interest to money that's needed to keep the doors open. This is not like 2008 when there was a slowdown and many corporations and with shoddy work ethics went down the tubes. This is a government-forced shutdown, and we don't know how long. Yes, I'm still open, and some others are too, but for how long? This all has a huge ripple effect as people do not know how long any of this will last, and so they're not going to spend money which probably isn't coming, and that is my situation. These loans are bull. They should be grants. I guess the government can't give you something unless they take it away from someone else first. But they don't even have this money to give. They have to borrow it, which is going to increase tax and inflation in the future. There's also speculation that after that, I'm really pressed. I have about $8,000 owing there, but people are hanging on to whatever money they have because nobody knows when the next stack comes in. Amongst this uncertainty, I don't think we'll see much of what are owed to those businesses who have accounts receivable. It's a shame what's probably going to happen to me at the end of this. I'll probably fold if this goes on any length of time. I'll lose my farm, my business, and then what? I worked so hard to have these things. I built my business from absolutely nothing. The first months of opening, I lived at a friend's hunt cabin. No water or electricity. I showered at a truck stop. Worked hard to build it to where it is. Got my farm and have worked hard to build that up too, from nothing. Fences, repairs, clearing land takes time and money. The realities facing us down is pretty heart-wrenching. Things may change by the time I finish this email, but with what I know right now, we're done in 2 months. Done. Thank you, JC from Petawawa. And one of the resounding issues I hear is that the money isn't going to get to the people, and what does won't be enough. They say to click on the BDC link, but when people try to click on the BDC, Canada, that particular link where the money is supposed to be applied for, there's a surge and people just can't get through. The money would be much better focused in going through small credit unions so that small businesses could borrow from there, and through the community futures development corporations. Since taking power, the community futures development corporations, where local businesses borrow money to start up, they haven't received any solid funding since the Liberals took power. They would be a magnificent means of getting money directly to people, and it wouldn't be at these exorbitant interest rates. So let's hope that that proposal is put forth today in the chamber when the Parliament resumes. I see it's suspended at the moment. Christy asks, if I were laid off and need EI due to COVID-19, would it affect my maternity leave? Excellent question. That we'll look into that for you, Christy, and we will get back to you. So we'll need Canadians to stay alert and attentive in the days and weeks to come. And we know the only Prime Minister to ever invoke the War Measures Act had the last name Trudeau. Now Trudeau Jr. has already tried to seize more power than even under the Emergencies Measures Act. We have to watch these Liberals very carefully. They've teamed up with the farther left and the separatist parties. They will seek to exploit this crisis to push their radical left-wing agenda forward. They talk about a Green New Deal. In the U.S., this Green New Deal calls for bulldozing older homes and replacing them with smaller units. That's why we need Parliament more than ever. The worst power grab anyone has ever seen in their lifetime is on the way. If they invoke the Emergency Measures Act, we need Parliament to be sitting to prevent the very worst of abuses. We are facing a national crisis, but Trudeau cares more about grabbing power. Help me stop the Trudeau power grab. Go to CherylGallant.com/Trudeau Trudeau power grab and tell the Prime Minister to reopen Parliament because this minority Liberal government cannot be trusted. Is the Speaker under the thumb of Trudeau? Only your letters and time will tell. Locally, if you need assistance with employment insurance, my constituency office is open, but do not come in person. If you need assistance, please call my office at 613-732-4404. Or for those in Arnprior and Whitney, you can call toll-free at 1-866-295-7165. And remember, if you're feeling sick and suspect you may have the virus, do not go into the hospital or the doctor's office if you're fortunate enough to have one. Call the Renfrew County Public Health Line at 613-735-8654, extension 555. With Ontario's order of non-essential businesses to close, it's more important than ever that we all pull together and watch out for one another. Live from Ottawa, this is Cheryl Gallant.
This is GNN.